Have you ever had that nagging fear in the back of your mind that eventually you'll have to give up video games for good before you can actually start contributing to society? That if you want to get serious about life or about starting a family one day, video games will only distract you because you won't have time for both? Have you ever been told that quitting games will fix all of your problems, which will lead to your transformation into the ultimate Giga Chad? Or Chadette? Well, up until my second year of college when a couple punks broke into my dorm to steal my Xbox, this was me. Yes, the police eventually found my Xbox in a crack house, and I did what any sane human would do. I sold it to get a PS4, but in the months I didn't have a console, and even after the novelty of having a PS4 wore off, I did shift my focus toward other things and had essentially stopped playing games altogether. I focused on my studies and even started talking to this girl. And you know what I learned from all that time not playing video games? Absolutely nothing. And the reason wasn't because I wasn't actually paying attention or because I didn't want to learn anything. It was because there was nothing for me to learn from that experience. Quitting games didn't help me become a better student or allow me to get to work on time or anything. I was already accomplishing both of those things while playing games. Sure, I could have used that time spent on video games to spend more time with my girlfriend, but I was going to find time for her either way. I would literally stay up half the night talking to her when I should have been sleeping or studying, regardless of whether I was playing video games or not. In fact, after we got married, I had started to show a slight interest in playing video games again because I started getting a little nostalgic for old times and the Nintendo Switch looked pretty cool. And you want to know what she said to me? Why don't you go buy one? And you gotta understand, I thought I was done playing video games at this point. Plus, consoles were such an unnecessary expense. I mean, we had bills to pay now. We had just become adults. And being the uptight penny pincher I was at the time, the prospect of buying a game console honestly stressed me out a little bit. Despite all of this, we ended up buying a Switch, and as a result, I was able to experience the magic of Breath of the Wild, and my wife and I enjoyed Mario Kart together. And this was the point where I learned something. Not only can you never be too old for video games, but I think people often make the mistake of assuming that just because a lot of games are designed to have predatory microtransactions or addictive qualities, means that all games are bad for you and you should just stay away from them because you'll get addicted. That would be like saying just because you have a drink every now and then, you're going to become an alcoholic, or that just because you have a cheat day, you're suddenly not going to be able to control yourself and eat the whole cake. Social media is just as bad, if not worse, than video games with its addictive qualities, yet using it doesn't mean you're going to become addicted to it. And look, if you need to quit video games or even social media, more power to you. But that doesn't mean that there aren't those who can't live a perfectly fulfilled life with video games. In fact, I would argue that they can actually enhance your life. Remember how I told you my wife and I played Mario Kart together? Well, we've since bonded over other games. Unravel 2, It Takes Two, Baldur's Gate 3, Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Golf, Minecraft, Animal Crossing, or even Smash Brothers.
See ya.
I'm done playing this game with you.
We even enjoy watching each other play single-player games every now and then. She watched me play Tears of the Kingdom, and I watched her play Hogwarts Legacy. These games have even strengthened our relationship through team-building exercises. In the case of Unravel 2, you need to work together or else you can't progress. I can't just tell her to give me the controller so I can get past a certain part for her, no matter how badly I may want to. I mean, even the premise of It Takes Two is that of a couple considering divorce, challenged to work through their problems. Marriage counselors literally give couples team-building exercises because it helps build trust and helps both partners learn how to cooperate with each other. And similar to how video games have helped me become a better husband, they've also helped me become a better stay-at-home dad. Which, by the way, has made me garner a massive amount of respect for my mom because while it's not necessarily a physically demanding job, boy is it a mentally demanding one. You know what else can be mentally demanding? Video games. If you take your eyes off that Lionel for even a second, you can say goodbye to a good chunk of your hearts, and if you take your eyes off a toddler for 1 second, you can say goodbye to your dog's eye. Video games can also help you figure out how to be okay with failure and how to learn and adapt as a result of that failure, which can be applied to raising a child. For instance, you learned very quickly that babies have different types of crying and what they mean through trial and error. And in Stellar Blade, you learned very quickly that you can't just button mash the dodge button through trial and error. Even the way a guy's brain changes when he becomes a father doesn't seem too dissimilar from some of the positive ways video games can affect our brains. Researchers at the University of Southern California and the Gregorio Marañón Health Research Institution ran a study where they put 40 men into an MRI scanner during their partner's pregnancy, and then again after the baby was about 6 months old. They also did this with 17 men who did not have children, and in the group of fathers, they found changes in their brain that contribute to visual processing, attention, and empathy toward the baby. Now, I'm a firm believer in the idea that nothing can prepare you for becoming a parent, but I like to think video games gave me a bit of a head start. They have helped me visually process information, focus better, and they've even helped me show empathy toward characters in these stories, even if they aren't real. They've shown me firsthand that playing games is about the journey just like everything else in life, especially raising a kid. You will never be able to replicate the first time you got that brand new console or played Fallout 3 for the first time, and I'll never be able to replicate the moment my son was born or the time I'm spending with him now. Video games can help us to understand how to just live in the moment and take everything in. And I'm not just saying that because I found it in a fortune cookie. I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like other media such as TV, movies, books, or music can't do the same thing. They absolutely can. In the right hands, these forms of entertainment can show us the price and futility of war, what our world might look like if we aren't careful with our actions, or if we aren't careful with who we choose to give power. But it can also show us that there are good people in the world who truly care about others. Entertainment is one of the most powerful and effective ways to communicate important lessons and themes to its audience. And through the lens of video games, people such as the director of the Nier and Drakengard series, Yoko Taro, are able to tell truly unique stories with important themes and questions that help us to grow as human beings. These stories are meant to impact people in a way that other mediums of storytelling can't quite accomplish. These works of art are meant to inspire us, encourage us, connect with us, help us move forward, or maybe even save our lives. YouTuber Daryl Talks Games did an entire video on how Souls games literally kept people from ending their own lives. Playing video games and watching movies helped me cope with depression as a child. In fact, I was probably more depressed during that time in my life in college when I wasn't playing them. Esporting events and gaming conventions offer in-person socialization benefits for people who would never go to a social event for fear of feeling like an outsider. Not to mention, these events have a positive impact on the economy by bringing foot traffic to surrounding businesses, which is the exact same thing that traditional sporting events do. Even if you don't play story-driven games, you can still find a lot of value in being proud of getting good at a game or achieving something in a game. It may not be something that you've done in the real world, but what difference does that make? And look, I'm obviously not saying we should only play video games and nothing else. As with just about everything in life, balance is key. But life is also very much about the way we look at things, how we perceive them. Many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. Maybe you see all of these things from a different point of view, which is perfectly fine. Maybe you would say that everything I said was BS or a cop-out and that video games really are nothing but pointless activities that ultimately waste our time. And if that's how you view things, which again is perfectly fine, I would like to pose a question that some of you posed in the comments of one of my recent videos. What isn't pointless? If enjoying entertainment for the sake of just having fun is pointless, is working to simply make money not pointless as well? Are we not working to provide for ourselves and family for the purpose of living a long, healthy, and ultimately happy life? Why don't we just quit a dead-end job if it sucks? The answer is because we as humans are hardwired to seek one thing: pleasure. We would rather work hard even if it sucks in the moment to make ends meet because living is more pleasurable than dying. In fact, we would rather find a job we love so that we're not miserable. We would rather watch TV, spend time with our family, play sports, go camping, or even play video games than work. So as long as we're not shirking our responsibilities or obsessing over video games to the point that it's affecting our lives in a negative way, why do games and entertainment in general have to be considered a waste of time? You've no doubt heard the phrase, time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. While that can be taken to the extreme in some cases, if we all seek pleasure, then it makes a lot of sense. The only reason many people feel playing physical sports, for example, isn't a waste of time is the same reason we would say that going to the gym or eating healthy isn't a waste of time. They're both activities that give us exercise, which helps us feel better and live longer. Why do we want to live longer? So we can enjoy life longer. Which, don't get me wrong, is a great thing, because in doing so, hopefully we're leaving a lasting impact and legacy on others in a way that helps them live a life they can enjoy, both right now and after they've passed. And look, I'm not trying to pretend that video games don't also have negative impacts on us, or that they're the most enlightening or even the most important thing in the world. And I'm also not trying to justify why I play games either. I know there's a lot more to life than staring at pixels on a screen, and at the end of the day, I know I've learned to have a healthy relationship with gaming and my wife and my son. My family and friends are supporting of my gaming hobby, and they even participate in it, and that's all I really care about. Maybe I'm being overly defensive, but I just don't think it's right for anyone to be able to tell us what is and isn't a waste of our time, as long as we're responsible with it, and especially if we're passionate about it. Deciding to use one of your days off to game or to read books is not a waste of your time if you got something valuable out of it. Don't let anyone else define your success or self-worth with frivolous things like money or fame. Success is a relative term based on what makes you happy, as long as you have a healthy amount of balance in your life. Guys, I promise I didn't plan this, but I got another fortune the other day. I also promise I don't go to Panda Express that often. This video wasn't meant to bash anyone who quit playing video games or anyone who's never picked up a controller. It's meant to show that games can be more than what they're often given credit for, and I hope you've been able to gain some sort of insight into some of the ways that they can help us rather than hinder us. Because in reality, every resource or form of entertainment we have at our disposal, including video games, is simply a tool that can be used to impact the lives of others in a meaningful way. And once we shift our perspective to living for others, suddenly we start to find our place in this world. Thanks for watching.